have you guys seen this debate that Charlie Kirk moderated? Because I haven't, and I'm gonna watch it with you guys because it's amazing. The more videos I watch from Charlie, the more I realize that I should have known him earlier because this guy is fantastic. So I have been watching a lot of his videos, and I'm learning from him unfortunately, after he is assassinated. And I want to do I didn't watch this debate because I wanted to do it with you guys. He's moderating it. A lot of people are trying to act like he has been he was becoming anti-Israeli, which is nonsense. A lot of these videos that I'm reviewing with you guys of Charlie are quite recent, and he's so good. I mean, and also there's a lot of lies being spread against Charlie regarding him being a white supremacist, him being anti-woman, and a whole bunch of other ridiculous nonsense. And given that I made the mistake of believing some of them, I feel like I deserve. I feel like I need to do some shows showing how great this man was, and especially because on this channel we support Israel a lot. I think like we could basically focus on a lot of his pro-Israeli content, or maybe even whatever he says about Israel, because he has some really good points, and we could learn from him. So, guys, how's my audio, by the way, in the chat? Let me know who's here. I see Omran here. I see Flying Robot Duck. Jack is here. Yuav is here. Gostach is here saying I'm Israel Chai. Well, I'm Israel Chai right back at you. All right, so let's actually watch this debate together and see what.
All right, everybody. How are we all doing? So first, where were you a year ago today? I bet you remember exactly where you were. A year ago today, Donald Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania. A year ago today, our republic was probably saved by just a couple of centimeters. A year ago today, by the grace of God and a turn of
Just a couple of centimeters. I wish that happened. I wish. I wish the way Trump survived his assassination attempt. I wish Charlie wasn't as lucky.
the head tilt, a bullet whizzed by Donald Trump's.
Wow, I actually haven't watched this. I haven't watched this. I didn't know he was going to talk about the assassination attempt on Trump. This is actually quite crazy now that we know that he didn't survive his assassination.
Saved by just a couple of centimeters.
Wow, guys, I promise I didn't see this coming. I haven't watched this.
Today, Donald Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania. A year ago today, our republic was probably saved by just a couple of centimeters. A year ago today, by the grace of God and a turn of the head tilt, a bullet whizzed by Donald Trump's face and barely scraped his ear. And as we're closing out this conference, I think we just need to just remember how far our nation has come in the span of 1 year, of how much has changed. And thanks to the goodness and glory of God, that Donald Trump turned his head at that very moment. I'll never forget where I was with my daughter. All of a sudden, I saw we were in some workout area, and all of a sudden on screen.
This is crazy. Watching him talk about Trump's assassination attempt while then he was assassinated. This is like, I don't know, man. I wasn't prepared for
Donald
this.
Trump shot. You all remember where you were when you first heard the news. And then what a sigh of relief when we saw him rise up and he said, fight, fight, fight. 1 year ago to this day. But the reason I want to start with this is that we also lost one of our own patriots that day, Corey Compatore.
Look at this. Some journalist is saying, funny, I never followed him because I thought he was alt right. Yeah, I thought he was crazy right leaning. Guys, he's actually he's one of the moderate right leaning people. The more I listen to him, the more I realize how moderate he is.
Tory. And we should just do a moment of silence for 10 seconds to remember Corey Compatore that lost his life a year ago today.
Wait, guys, while they do a moment of silence, let
Thank
me
you.
actually go.
And I know that so many of you have been to MAGA rallies. He died a hero's death. He put his body in the way and saved his daughter's lives that they may live. For the men out there, that is the best of MAGA masculinity. And Corey, we remember you today here in Tampa, Florida.
Guys, do you want to see a video of how anti-racist Charlie Kirk is before we continue with the rest of the debate? Do you guys want to watch this just really quickly? Because I honestly thought that this guy is like a racist white supremacist, and now I'm discovering I was wrong about that. Yeah, okay, so Haley is here, Flying Robot Duck is here. Okay, so watch this because this is really epic. Watch this one.
This is a white country.
So basically, this is a comparison between Nick Fuentes, who is a racist, and Charlie Kirk, who isn't. So just watch it again. YouTube, we disagree with Nick Fuentes and whatever the fuck he's gonna say here. Obviously, he's a racist. We're anti-racism, so we don't agree with any of these. Please do not strike this YouTube channel down. We're basically calling him out.
This is a white country. Want to know why? It was established by white people, founded by white people, built by white people. White people settled the continent. And up until very recently, almost exclusively white people lived here. That's why.
If you go back to the original.
So that was Nick Fuentes. Now compare that to Charlie Kirk.
Exclusively white people lived here. That's why.
If you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character.
Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding.
What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian, and has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line. USA, USA, USA.
You acknowledge.
Okay, that was too powerful. I need to listen to it again. Guys, I'm sorry. I don't know if you want to listen to it again or not. I want to listen to it again, so we're going to listen to it again. That was fucking powerful. That was fucking powerful. Watch it. Listen to this again.
That's why.
If you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character.
Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding.
What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian, and has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line. USA, USA, USA.
You acknowledge.
Anyways, guys, I retweeted this on my own personal account. If you want to go find this video, my Twitter account is at Armin Navabi. So some of the tweets I show you guys here on my show, I'll retweet them on my Twitter account, so you guys could just go find them there. I do want to address this comment in the chat. Oh, we did get a super chat. I will respond to that as well. But somebody's saying, hold on, where is that? There was a. Somebody was saying you're an atheist. How are you? Oh, here, there you go. This person is saying, how are you a fan of Charlie and an atheist? How are you a fan of Charlie and an atheist? Because I'm not a moron. I don't need to agree with somebody 100% to be a fan of them. Do you understand that? Are you insane? Are you insane? Do you think as an atheist I can only be a fan of other atheists? How tribal do you have to be? I'm actually wasn't a fan of Charlie. I'm a fan of Charlie. I only became a fan of Charlie after his assassination. I didn't know how great this man was.
Our last bit of programming here is going to be a debate. As many of you guys know, I speak a lot about this on college campuses. I get so many questions about this topic on college campuses. Some of my best memories ever have been going to Israel, traveling to Israel, seeing where Jesus rose from the dead. Jesus walked on water, spoke in the Garden of Gethsemane, gave the sermon, Mount Beatitudes, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in Hebron. And some of my greatest experiences have been in the Holy Land and defending Israel. But as you know, this is a very hot topic on campus and increasingly a hot topic in conservative circles. And I thought, hey, let's lean into that disagreement. Let's lean into that debate. Let's have two people that don't agree on this topic that are some of the best defenders of the position when it comes to Israel, when it comes to the 12-day war, when it comes to whether or not we should be supporting or sending aid to Israel. Because we as conservatives, we want to have this debate. We don't want to just all of a sudden say, oh, you're not allowed to say that. No, we want to foster an environment where we get to the truth. We want to find the best ideas and have the best ideas win. And so we are thrilled to have two men, and they know what they're talking about. I'm going to be moderating this. We're going to make sure that this remains mostly peaceful. So give it up for Josh Hammer and Dave Smith, everybody.
Oh yeah, sorry, we got a super chat. Let me actually respond to that. Thank you, Reincarnation Entertainment. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for supporting the show.
So Josh and Dave, welcome to Turning Point USA. Welcome to Tampa. And give it up for both these men again. So we have a clock here. We can blow through that if this is going well and respectful and spirited. I first wanted to start by introducing both these men. Josh Hammer, Newsweek, Josh Hammer Show. Josh is a very passionate and eloquent defender of Israel, and also is a great friend and someone that we talk about a lot of other issues as well. So Josh, welcome. Great to have you.
Great to be here, Charlie.
Also, Dave Smith. Dave is comedian.
By the way, I saw some clips from this guy on the right, and I don't think he did very well in this debate. So I'm more interested in what Charlie has to say, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
A lot of fans of yours here in the audience, Dave, and also a libertarian. And we're not going to talk much about that. But we were talking about how much we agreed backstage on certain things. And Dave, means a lot that you made work here. You took an awful flight to get here from halfway across the country. And so, Dave, you could plug your stuff as well, because I don't know the name of your show and stuff. But I want to start with this. I want to start with opening statements, if you will. There are three big things that I want to cover. And we just did a focus group with.
I'm trying to find a video on X. I can't find it anymore. I don't know why I didn't retweet it, because it was about Charlie talking about the difference between a liberal and a leftist, and he was in support of a liberal and against the leftist. I can't find it right now. If I find it, I'll show it to you guys, because it seemed like he understood he wasn't anti-liberal.
Some of our students here earlier. The three big things we want to cover. We want to cover the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. What do we think of that? Good, bad? How did Trump handle it? Number two, we want to talk about the appeared, the fake, or the real amount of Israeli influence in American politics, from AIPAC to how congressmen are involved, and kind of have our discussion debate. And then finally, it's one thing to be against stuff, everybody. You can always, I don't like this, I don't like that. I want both of these men to present what their solution is, their proposition of what they are proposing. So with that, though, Dave, I thought it would be helpful. This is your first Turning Point event. Some people aren't familiar with your work. Introduce yourself, make an introductory statement, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you very much, and thank you guys for having me. As Charlie mentioned, I took a flight here, so I'm going on no sleep. So if Josh wins, it doesn't count. But I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm also a libertarian. I'm really a follower of the greatest congressman who's ever lived, who is Dr. Ron Paul, who is turning 90 years old. Happy birthday to him. As far as, look, I would say I think that American foreign policy for my entire life has been insane, and like criminally insane. We've launched war after war. We've talked about
Well, that's what he's saying is insane, because American foreign policy, if it has been insane, then why has it produced the greatest country in the history of the world, the largest superpower that the world has ever seen? Why is it, if American foreign policy has been insane, why has it been the main factor behind the global stability that we have been witnessing since World War II, in such a degree that the human race has never experienced in the history of civilization since 12,000 years ago? All because of Americans' foreign policy. So, I mean, if this is insanity, then please give us more insanity, because it's working. But I think it's actually you are who are insane, because you don't look at the results. You are basically have these insane principles that if your country doesn't abide by, you call it insane. But we look at the results of the policies, and the results have been amazing. The results have been amazing. The results of American foreign policy has produced the greatest power, political, economical, cultural power that the world has ever seen. That's the result of American foreign policy. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
About peace through strength the whole time, but all we've gotten is permanent war. We've talked about peace through strength the whole time, but all we've gotten is permanent militarism and forever wars against countries that pose no threat to us. And
Fucking bullshit. First of all, the history of the world had a lot more war before the U.S. military came and dominated the world and provided peace. And you're like, forever wars. I mean, the expectations are insane. Throughout the history of civilization for the past, I don't know, 10 or 12,000 years, when have we had no war? When have we had no war? Instead of asking for no wars, ask for less wars. And please, instead of looking at, like turning on the news and like, oh, we still have wars. Well, when the fuck did did we not have any wars? What do you have to actually, instead of asking for no wars, you have to look at how much war we have, not whether or not we still have war. And if you look at how much war we have, even though we still have war all the time, we have less war, less violence than ever before in the history of mankind, because of the US military's dominance around the world, because of the US military's presence all around the world. You fucking idiot. Like, oh, forever wars. Well, we had war before you were born, and we're going to have continue to have war after you're dead. So what do you expect? What the fuck do you want?
a huge part of the reason why we've embarked on this is because the neoconservatives hijacked our foreign policy and they were in power after 9/11. And the neoconservatives,
What?
as everybody who's followed it knows, were joined at the hip with the Likud party. That's just a fact. They all admit it in their own words. And you can go back and you can read.
Yeah, it's called being an ally of the government in power in the country that you are an ally of, which is normal foreign policy. But I think you're retarded and you don't understand how basic foreign policy works.
Read the Clean Break memo. You can read the companion piece, Coping with Crumbling States. This was written by David Wormser.
He keeps look. He said like, "Oh, they're friends of the Likud party." He thinks that's a gotcha. Who else they're gonna be friends with? They're gonna be the friends. If United States is an ally of Israel, your politicians need to be the friends of the politicians of the party that is dominant in that country. If another party was dominant, they would be friends with that party. Like he says, like, oh, the Likud party, as if he's mentioning the devil.
And Richard Pearl.
He thinks that's just a point on
Onion
itself.
piece, Coping with Crumbling States. This was written by David Wormser and Richard Pearl. And they laid out their plan. Now, their plan was that to help Israel, the clean break is a break from the peace process, a break from Oslo, which was designed to give the Palestinians their own state. And these neoconservative
Yeah, and they didn't accept it, so they realized that we need to crush these people because they don't want a peace at all. What are you going to do with an enemy that doesn't want peace? You have to crush them, you have to defeat them.
Geniuses decided that instead of the Israelis making peace with the Palestinians, they could just have the US overthrow all of the surrounding governments that were giving Israel a hard time.
They were just giving Israel a hard time. They were overthrowing governments that were just giving, like, they were just a nuance. They were just like, hey, we're just gonna bother you. Like, they wanted to annihilate Israel. You fucking idiot. They wanted to wipe Israel off the fucking map. Like, they were just giving an Israel a hard time, and we went and middled and basically caused them to, like, we were against the regimes that was trying to destroy your main ally in the most important region on earth, where your entire energy used to came from at some point. You fucking idiot.
And this is where four-star general Wesley Clark says that he saw the plans right after 9/11 to overthrow 7 countries in the next 5 years. And what was the last country on that list? It was Iran. Okay? This is a big part of what the
Yeah, well, thank goodness. Yeah, it should have been. Well, it was the last. It should have been the first country, because that's where all the evil comes from, Tehran. I mean, as an Iranian, I wish it was the first on the list, so that we could free the Iran. It wouldn't be just freeing the Israeli people; it would be freeing the Iranian people as well. Look at this. He thinks this is a
right
gut
after
shit.
9/11 to overthrow 7 countries in the next 5 years. And what was the last country on that list? It was Iran.
Well, I wish they would. Well, I wish it was first on the list. I wish it was the first on the list.
Okay? This is a big part.
Somebody in the chat is saying, "How did Iraq go?" Actually, very good right now. If you look at Iraq, Iraq is right now. It went through a decade of turmoil, but right now Iraq is doing better than when it was under Saddam. So a lot of people were in a rush for Iraq to, like, oh, Iraq turned bad. No, it didn't. It just took a while. It just took a while. And also, the reason why Iraq turned chaotic was not because of toppling of Saddam. It was because of the dismantling of the Ba'ath Party. That was the military did its job perfectly. It was the politicians who made a mistake that created a power vacuum after Saddam fell. If after Saddam's falling they didn't dismantle the Ba'ath Party, the recovery of Iraq would have happened a lot faster. Oh, wait a second.
Part of what the whole conflict is about. Now, the neoconservative has kind of become like a pejorative for war hawks these days. And don't get me wrong, I support that. Keep calling them neocons. But the actual neoconservatives, the self-identified neoconservatives, aren't really in power anymore. But Benjamin Netanyahu is still in power in Israel. And the Likud party is still pushing for this. Now, I want very quickly, I'll try to not go too long here. Okay, they actually did focus group testing back in the 90s before the first Gulf War in Iraq. And, Americans weren't really moved by, we have to reinstall the king of Kuwait, but they were moved by the nuclear threat. Now, if you go read Coping with Crumbling States or the Clean Break memo, in the 90s, when the neocons admitted they wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein, they never said it was because he had nuclear weapons. They said he was a problem for Israel in the region. They only
Oh yeah, and Kuwait. You remember that Saddam was a problem for everybody in the
made
region.
up that lie after 9/11 because they knew that's what would sell you, or maybe not you, you're too young, but sell your moms and dads on going and fighting this war.
Yeah, and it was a good idea to topple Saddam, you fucking idiot. And also, Americans might have strong opinions regarding foreign policy, but they don't care enough about it to vote. They mostly vote based on inflation and their income and stuff like that. They don't really vote based on foreign policy as much. So many Americans might not know how much foreign policy impacts their prices. So actually, it's a good idea, even if Americans say that, oh, don't get involved in this and that and that. Given that they don't vote based on foreign policy and they vote based on prices and standard of living, if you could, then it makes sense for politicians in America to just do whatever is necessary on foreign policy to keep the world stable enough for the international trade to just flow with just go happen as smoothly as it is right now, so it doesn't impact stability around the world, for it to impact prices. Because at the end of the day, so an average American voter might say like, hey, we shouldn't be involved there. But at the end of the day, they're not going to vote based on that. They're going to vote based on the prices, what they can afford, based on their standard of living. So if you need to be as a US politician, if you need to be involved somewhere for you to keep oil prices low, for you to keep international trade just happening as it is, that is, you should ignore when an American says that, oh, don't be involved there, because that's not what he or she is going to vote upon. He or she is going to vote based on prices and standard of living. So yeah, continue to be involved, because that's what they have proven to just mostly vote based on their standard of living. So it doesn't really matter if they say don't be involved there, because they have shown on the ballot box that they don't really care about that. Be involved in a way that continues their standard of living or improves their standard of living.
By the way, when they talked about wanting to overthrow Iran, it was the same thing. Never had nothing to do with a nuclear threat. That's just
That's bullshit. We have, okay, so for Iraq, for Iraq, first of all, Saddam was getting a nuclear weapon and Israel destroyed it. So thank you, Israel. Imagine Saddam with a nuclear weapon. Basically, Israel basically stopped both Assad and Saddam from getting nuclear weapons, which is a service to the whole world, and people should recognize Israel for that and thank Israel for that. But even if Saddam didn't have weapons of mass destruction, we didn't have any evidence for that, so we shouldn't have believed that. But we have plenty of evidence that the Islamic Republic is trying to build nuclear weapons. We have more than enough evidence. So this is a false analogy.
just the thing they use now as the excuse. So yes, there is tremendous influence by Israel in our government. That doesn't mean I'm subscribing to some crazy conspiracy or telling you to hate Jewish people. I'm Jewish. I'm just saying they have influence. They've used it in a very negative way, and we should reject this insane foreign policy and embrace the foreign policy that Dr. Ron Paul advocated, which is the foreign policy of the founding fathers. Stay out of entangling alliances, stay out of unnecessary wars, be friends with the world, and trade with the world.
Oh yeah, stay out of World War II. Guys, basically this is the same mindset that would have kept Hitler in power. This is the same mindset that would have kept Hitler in power. Imagine it during World War II, if we had Americans back in World War II saying that, oh, Hitler is Europe's problem. Why should we get involved? Why should we get involved with Europe's problem? Imagine if that was the policy.
That's the key to prosperity.
Thank you, Dave. Josh, opening statement. Feel free to respond, and then we'll proceed as we go. So that was about 3.5, 4 minutes. So same amount of time.
All right, so it's really great to be here. Thank you, Charlie, for having me. Thank you, Turning Point, for having me back. It's really wonderful to be at this amazing conference. You know, Dave joked that he didn't get any sleep last night. Today's actually also a fast day on the Jewish calendar. I'm not eating or even drinking water, so we're all on the same page here. We're all just totally screwed. So you can kind of get off the same starting place there. Look, there's a lot of substance to respond to. I'll just really pedophilic child.
I'm actually more interested in listening to Charlie and Dave.
You can see peace is hard. I'm trying to keep the peace. Now, Dave, I want to give you an opportunity, about 4 minutes to respond to that. But also, I do want to, now that we had the opening salvos and the Tomahawk missiles launched, let's respond as you see fit. No,
hold on.
I'm going to ask both of you a critical question that both of you guys already launched. Josh, to you first. Dave's contention, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the nuclear program was not a threat, correct? That it was a intel push. Would you even say that? I'm strong manning your argument, steel manning it. Josh, what do you have to say to that, to the veracity of the claim that there was an imminent threat of Iran getting a nuclear bomb? That is a core point of Dave's argument. Then, Dave, I'm going to throw back an equally difficult question for you, Josh.
Okay, so I profess agnosticism as to the imminent nature, Charlie, because I have not seen.
Okay, what the hell? These people need to do more research. It is an imminent. The Islamic Republic is desperate for it to have a nuclear deterring power against the world, because it's about to get toppled. And there are so much information that all throughout the years, I mean, we have audio recordings of Fakhrizadeh basically talking about building nuclear I don't know how to say it in English because I've studied these in Persian. But basically, put the thing that you put on top of the missile that carries the nuclear force of a missile. Basically, we have so much data showing that all the time that the world thought that these people were abiding by the IAEA rules. They weren't. They were always had different sites, hidden sites, trying to get to nuclear weapons all the time, every time. And every time they were getting close, it was Israel that came and bombed something or killed some scientists that pushed them years back. But every time Israel got involved and pushed them years back, the Islamic Republic learned how to go deeper into the ground and or how to basically close the ways that Israel manages to get intelligence or send spies. So Israel always knew that at some point it needs to topple the Islamic Republic because or else they're going to have a nuclear weapon, which is not good for the rest of the world. And guys, by the way, this is now everyone understands this. Even Europe now understands this. This is why they are basically now triggering the snapback mechanism because everybody is tired of the Islamic Republic. This is now public knowledge. I don't know how nobody here on this platform understands that.
The reports. Neither have you, neither has Dave. Literally, no one in this room has actually seen the report. So I do not know. Literally.
What do you mean nobody has seen the report? You're supposed is this how you support Israel? Guys, this is public knowledge. This is public knowledge. We have audio recordings. We have the IAEA also talking about hidden sites where they've been enriching uraniums. We have Islamic Republic officials constantly talking about how they need to go nuclear fast. What the fuck are you talking about?
What the exactly imminent nature of the threat was, it would be impossible for me to say. I'm not going to bullshit you and pretend like I know because I simply don't know. What I can say is the following. Iran has transparently and obviously been trying to acquire a nuclear weapon for 2.5, 3 decades. We know this for approximately 1 to 2 million different reasons. Among them that we can point to is that the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Administration, which is essentially the nuclear watchdog for the United Nations, they have been sounding the alarm about this, and they have said very loudly and clearly that Iran has blocked their inspectors from going to inspect their enriched uranium, and that they have concluded over recent years, especially including recent months, that Iran is enriching uranium at a much quicker rate and to a much higher percentage and rate of enrichment than
to 60%, which is unnecessary for any country that is not building nuclear weapon. The Islamic Republic was enriching uranium at a degree that is absolutely unnecessary for any country that is not building a nuclear weapon.
Any civilian program would ever justify. By the way, the notion that Iran even needs a civilian program in the first place, I think, is kind of bonkers. Is one of the most petroleum, oil, and gas-rich countries in the world. So that's kind of a bit of a red herring in and of itself. But we know from a million different international organizations that they have been doing this. And Charlie, more to the point, again, Dave likes to say, oh, they just chant death to America, which they do. They literally chant it every single day in their Potemkin parliament. But they actually do act on it. They killed hundreds and hundreds of American soldiers on the roadside of Fallujah, Al-Anbar province during Iraq with Qasem Soleimani supplied IEDs. They have killed Americans going back to the 241 Marines in Beirut, Lebanon. By the way, the Hezbollah jihadists who organized that operation to slaughter those Marines in Beirut, Lebanon in 1983 was a man by the name of Fuad Shakur. The U.S.
Okay, I want to see more of Charlie. Let me just go. Okay, there we go. Charlie speaking.
Our bounty for 41 years for killing 241 of our boys back in 1983 in Beirut.
So I'm going to now ask, I'm going to a really tough follow-up for you. You do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. Bad. Would you, if it ever took, if it required U.S. troops on the ground, would that be worth Iran not getting a nuclear weapon?
Charlie, with respect, I reject the premise. I simply do not think it does, actually.
Well, I know. It's a hypothetical, but it's worth thinking about. Okay. Dave. I got to ask you tough questions now. Okay?
Yeah, but I want to respond to some of this stuff because all of that's wrong.
You will. Hold on. I don't want us to talk past each other, or else we're going to spend all this time on prime ministers in 2002 that the audience doesn't know about.
No, but if he's making claims about like something that's just not true.
I want you to get to. But I want to just ask a very simple question, from your perspective, because I just asked the tough one to Josh. Are you okay, or do you think we should do anything to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
Anything, sure. Yeah, there's lots of things I think we should do.
Is military action ever justified?
Well, again, this is yes, there are times when military action is justified, but if you're saying what we could do to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, what we were doing, Donald Trump was in negotiations with them, and I think he should have continued.
Oh my God, he's a fucking moron. Donald Trump was in negotiations with them. That's your answer? This guy doesn't understand anything about the Islamic Republic. Anybody who has been involved this much, just a tiny bit, studying the Islamic Republic and their method of foreign policy understands that negotiations are only, I promise you guys this, go study this. The Islamic Republic uses negotiations not to get to an understanding with the West and Israel for them not to have nuclear weapons. It's only a way to buy time to get to nuclear weapons. Oh, like, oh, Trump was negotiating with the Islamic Republic. You fucking idiot. The negotiations by the Islamic Republic have never been with the intention by the Islamic Republic to come to an understanding for what do we get so that we don't build nuclear weapons. It's only a time buying measure so that they could hold the West back with the excuse of negotiations so that they could eventually get to a nuclear weapon.
Those. And the truth is that the big problem with the JCPOA that Obama got us into was that there were sunset provisions. They opened up a whole new inspections regime. It is not true that the IAEA is saying that Iran was about to get a nuclear weapon. Anybody you want, it's published online.
Yeah, the IAEA says that the Islamic Republic was abiding by the agreement in the sites that they were monitoring. But the IAEA also says that there were other sites that the Islamic Republic was keeping hidden, and they detected enriching uranium in those sites outside of the sites that they were supposed to be monitored by the IAEA. You don't know that, do you?
You can go read the conclusion of their last report where they explicitly said Iran does not have nuclear weapons and is not trying to develop them. They are
bullshit. They were saying that. They actually, in the last report, they clearly said that the Islamic Republic, not Iran, the Islamic Republic was not abiding by they were not abiding by the agreement, and they're not giving them access. First of all, the IAEA cannot know what the Islamic Republic is doing because the Islamic Republic was not giving them access to the other sites that the IAEA was requesting access to, and the Islamic Republic was not giving it to them. The IAEA could only comment on compliance in the sites that it was observing, you fucking moron.
Are enriching at 60%, and they were in negotiations to maybe bring that down. But when you bring up the fact of the Marines getting killed in 1983, it's actually an interesting. Ronald Reagan, who was president at the time, he wrote about this in his memoir. Now, if you know what Ronald Reagan did, was he pulled out after that. He turned tail and run. And he said in his memoir, he said, I underestimated the irrationality of Middle Eastern politics. And we never should have gotten involved in that. Now, if you want to say that Iran backed them, okay, couple years.
Wait, I'm pretty sure you keep taking him out of context. We should have never gotten involved in Middle East. The United States would be nothing without the stability from the Middle East in the 1960s, 70s, and the 80s. The vast majority of your energy came from the Middle East. How would the United States be the country it is today without their involvement in the Middle East, without the stability for them to make sure that the flow of oil and gas makes it not just to the United States but to the rest of the world? Without the United States being there, the United States would be a third world country right now.
Years after that, Charlie, there was a scandal in the Reagan administration. It was the something Contra, Iran Contra. That's right. Ronald Reagan was selling weapons to the Iranians a couple years after this happened. So
selling weapons to people who were fighting another. You're making your enemies fight. You're making evil regimes fight each other. They were selling it to the Islamic Republic so that they could fight Saddam. I mean, not that I agree with arming the Islamic Republic, but the intention was not to support the Islamic Republic. The intention was to weaken Saddam.
Come back now 40 plus years later and use that as the excuse why we got to go to war with Iran. I mean, just think about how crazy this is. And the stuff he said about the roadside bombs in Iraq.
Yeah, I mean, even back then, the Islamic Republic in Iran was clearly communicating the fact that they want to one day annihilate Israel and then one day annihilate the United States. So even at the time that you're arming them so that they could fight Saddam, because at that time Saddam was a more immediate threat, how does that contradict the fact that now that we don't have Saddam, we need to be focusing on the Islamic Republic? How is that a contradiction? How is that a hypocrisy?
Iraq is just not true. It's been debunked. It's more war. And the stuff he said about the roadside bombs in Iraq is just not true.
That is completely true.
It's been debunked. It's more war.
What are you talking about? It's been debunked. The roadside bombs in Iraq came from the Islamic Republic. So many Americans died in Iraq because of the support of the Islamic Republic for terrorist groups in Iraq. So what the fuck are you talking about? That has never been debunked.
War propaganda that's been debunked. I highly recommend.
This guy is pro-Islamic Republic. This guy is just basically supporting the Islamic Republic.
Is just not true. It's been debunked. It's more war propaganda that's been debunked. I highly recommend anyone can read the book Enough
Have you
Already.
spoken to a
Josh,
It's
1 second.
I highly recommend people read the book Enough Already. It is the best book that's been written about the terror.
Yeah, guys, when people cite a book, just please understand that there are so much bullshit books written out there, and you could find a book to support every argument. There is one book for every argument. So just citing a book, if you cannot make an argument right now in the debate, this is what people do. Like, hey, this is true. Go read that book. Basically, this is a tactic because if you actually you don't present the arguments, because if you present the arguments, we could judge them based on the merit, based on to see whether the argument stands on itself or not. But you're such a coward and you cannot present your case, so you're like, hey, just go read that book, knowing first of all most people will not go read it, and second of all, just saying that there's a book written about this makes a lot of people think that your claim is credible. There's a book making any claim that you want. So this is a bullshit tactic. Don't make this don't let people use this against you. If somebody wants to make a point, just tell me, like, no, this is a debate. You have to make your case in this debate. Give me the logical arguments. Do not try to get away. If you don't have any arguments, don't just go tell me, go read that book. Do you have a case right now in this debate or no? Can you actually display your case or not? Can you put your line of reasoning in front of us or not? Because I cannot just go like, okay, hold on, pause this debate. Let me go read this book and see whether the claims are valid, where the evidence is good, and give me 5 minutes. I'll just read this book really quick to see whether this book is credible or not. This is a coward's tactic, because you know that the person on the other side will not be able to verify how credible this book is. In a debate, just provide me with the argument. If you don't, then shut the fuck up. If you don't have an argument, then shut the fuck up.
Terror Wars by Scott Horton. He has all the footnotes in there. You can go through it yourself.
Look, people are clapping. Oh, there's like, guys, he has all the footnotes, all the evidence. Well, here's the thing. I can make it. If this is how you debate, like, I could just say, like, well, there's a book that disagrees with you, and that book also has all the footnotes, all the evidence. This is like, oh, then you respond to me. Well, there's another book that says this, which is against that, and that one, all the footnotes, all the evidence. What the fuck? What are we even debating here? Are we just going to throw books at each other? Nobody is going to be able to check live watching this to go check to see whether this is a good book or not. What the fuck? Just give me your argument. Fucking cowards.
It's completely debunked. Those roadside bombs were built by Shiites in Iraq. Now, I'm not
by Shiites in fucking idiot. He doesn't understand anything about foreign politics. Shiites in Iraq, guys, please tell me you understand this. Shia terrorists in Iraq are an extension of the Islamic Republic. He does not know that. Shia militias in Iraq Kataib Hezbollah, Hashd Sha'bi, these are extensions of the Islamic Republic. He fucking doesn't know that. They're like, this had nothing to do with Iran. These were Shias in Iraq. Oh my fucking God. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that it's the same fucking thing. He thinks the Islamic, that's why he keeps saying Iran. He doesn't understand that the Islamic Republic in Iran doesn't give a shit about Iran. They don't believe in nation states. They don't believe in nations. They believe in an ummah, not a nation, but the Islamic ummah. And they don't believe in the borders of Iran. They believe that the Shia empire extends beyond the borders of Iran, and their empire exists wherever Shias are. And the Shias in Iraq who are terrorists, they're not loyal to Iraq. They're loyal to their leader in Tehran, Ali Khamenei. You fucking idiot. How do you not know the basics of this? And people think that this guy is credible and they clap for him. He doesn't even understand the basics of foreign policy. And people think that this is a credible source. Fucking idiot.
Now, some of them did have relationships with Iran, but the majority of Iraq is Shiite. So yes, we invaded the next door country and we got into some fights with the Shiite groups there. But to say that's a reason why we now have to invade Iran or we have to bomb them or something, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because you're a fucking moron.
One or two really quick Chris follow-ups,
Sure.
and then we'll do this. Both sides need to get under good cross-examination. Do you think it would be bad if Iran got a nuclear bomb?
Yes, I think it's bad. I think it's bad.
And I think we can all agree on that. That is a moral agreement.
I don't think anybody should be allowed to have nuclear weapons secretly.
Right.
What aboutism? First of all, if any country deserves to have a nuclear weapon, it's Israel. You fucking idiot. If there's one country that deserves to have a nuclear weapon, like, is Israel. You fucking coward. You might as well mention the country's name. Because no country more than Israel is being threatened with annihilation. You fucking idiot. You see the whataboutism? He doesn't understand the difference between the Islamic Republic having a nuclear weapon and Israel having a nuclear weapon. You see how he thinks it's morally equivalent? He thinks he's asking him, do you think that the Islamic Republic should have a nuclear weapon? He says, like, no, they shouldn't, but neither should Israel. He thinks that they're the same. This guy is taken seriously. He puts the Islamic Republic and Israel on the same moral level. Fucking morons.
So,
how about that?
I will ask Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody saying Israel isn't a terrorist state like Iran. Well, actually, Iran is not terrorist. The Islamic Republic is terroristic, okay? Just remember, as the Islamic Republic is not Iran. The Islamic Republic is the most anti-Iranian force in the history of Iran.
About that, because that's a not so subtle dig at Israel. However,
hold on. Are you suggesting that Israel has nuclear weapons?
I don't know. Actually, it probably.
Israel should have nuclear weapons. Like, oh wow, look at me being so funny. Oh, are you saying Israel should have nuclear weapons? Yes, Israel has nuclear weapons, and good. These people think that Israel being secretive about its nuclear weapon is something like malicious. You fucking idiot. The reason why Israel cannot acknowledge that it has nuclear weapon, because even though everybody knows that it has that, because if it acknowledges that, then the other countries in the region would have to acknowledge it as well. And other countries in the region would then have to have a policy of having their own nuclear weapon. That's how it started. First of all, Israel didn't want it to keep this secret. It was United States that pressured Israel to keep it a secret, because it was United States understanding that if we don't keep this a secret, everybody in the Middle East wants to have nuclear weapon. So if you're like, oh, why are you guys being secretive about it? Look at your own country. It was United States that pushed Israel to be secretive about having nuclear weapons. You idiot.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know the intelligence. I'm not that of DNI, but I mean, they probably do. But let me ask you, Dave. Now, another question. What is your now, let's just say, criticism? No U.S. troops were killed. It required no U.S. troops on the ground. There was no war. It lasted 12 days. Fordo was pretty eliminated. I mean, even the Iranians say it. So looking at it now, 12 days later, what is your problem?
Yeah, against all you fucking anti-Israelis predictions. Like, if we attack inside Iran, it's going to be World War III. It will be the end of the world, and United States will be defeated by the Islamic Republic and its fucking allies. Sure. Nothing happened. As we predicted. As we predicted. Didn't we predict this, guys? Didn't we say that the Islamic Republic is a paper tiger and people like Tucker, Candace Owens, and Dave Smith are wrong? And if you attack the Islamic Republic, this is what the Islamic Republic is going to do. This is what that's the only thing they could do, which is absolutely nothing at all. Absolutely nothing at all. They didn't do anything because they can't. And now the whole world sees how weak and pathetic the Islamic Republic is. And do you know why we know that? Because Israel showed it to us. Thank you, Israel, for demonstrating how weak and pathetic the Islamic Republic is. We know this now. I mean, I knew this before. I told you before the 12-Day War, but now the rest of the world knows thanks to Israel. So, Tucker, wrong. Candace Owens, wrong. Dave Smith, wrong. Armin, correct. I was right. This is why you should subscribe to this channel, because I know what I know what I'm talking about. Unlike these fucking idiots, I know what I'm talking about. Oh, we got a super chat. Let me see what do we got here. Render unto Caesar says, Sup Armin. Sup. I'm late, so you might have already addressed this. But if you haven't, have you seen the video that Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic put out? No, I haven't. And how he reacted to Charlie's death? What are your thoughts? I have not seen that. Is it worth watching? Let me know if it's worth watching. Is it worth reacting to? So, no, I have not seen that. But yeah. Yeah, Amir is saying I have a feeling it's bad. Yeah, I have a feeling it's bad too. By the way, I think Seth Andrews has a really horrible video against Charlie. I don't know if I should respond to that. And I think many atheists are getting this wrong. I think Matt Dillon, he also is anti-Israeli. I don't know. Should I go and respond to these atheists spreading their hate against Charlie and Israel? I don't know. We'll see.
With what seems to be a masterclass in 12 days, in, out, no problem, no U.S. troops, and we've kind of moved on. What would your problem with that be?
I think, and I do think there's something really sick and poisoning about this, is that our country has become so addicted to war that if we launch a war and you go, well, hey, it wasn't a complete catastrophe. I mean, 1 million people didn't die in this one, like in Iraq, or hundreds of thousands.
Look at this. Look at this. Their predictions didn't come true. They thought it would be World War III, and now that it's not World War III, like, oh, you guys are saying that 1 million people didn't die, so it was okay. No, you fucking idiot. We're saying that you guys were wrong, and you can't admit that you were wrong. How about you come and say that we were wrong? And also, forget 1 million people. Not even forget 100,000 people. Forget 10,000 people. In Iran, 1,000 people died in the 12-Day War, and 280 of them were, according to the government's own report, 280 of them were civilians, which makes that 12-Day War the lowest civilian to combatant casualty ratio in the history of urban warfare. Let me repeat that. This is how great Israel is. By the way, can you guys not appreciate how Israel just goes to the heads of the army? Like, not only Israel, like in Qatar, in Lebanon, in Iran, the only place that they can't do this is in Gaza because of the population density and because the enemy doesn't wear a uniform, and because they use human shields. But everywhere else, in Syria, in Lebanon, and in Iran, not only they do not bombard civilians, they don't even bombard soldiers. You understand this? This is so much moral. I'm sorry, Americans, but Israel's army is so much more ethical than even the USA Army. Because forget about bombarding civilians, they don't even bombard soldiers. They go straight to the heads of the regime and the generals. This is like minimum casualty levels. That's how amazing Israel. Like even the like ordinary random soldiers, they don't even have to deal with casualties. Usually, like throughout the history of warfare, like you had the kings and the generals be the last people that would get hurt. You would have the civilians and your army. You would have be a bloodbath with the civilians and your army, and the generals and the kings were right at the back, just the last people that would get hurt. But now, thanks to modern technology and Israel's high moral standards, they are the first to go, and the rest of the people mostly don't have to even get hurt. Not just civilians, even the soldiers don't have to get hurt. Even the soldiers don't have to get hurt. Isn't that like that's impressive? We should be. This is the most moral army in the world, and now this motherfucker, Dave Smith, is like, oh, look at this. Listen to this.
What would your problem with that be?
I think, and I do think there's something really sick and poisoning about this, is that our country has become so addicted to war that if we launch a war and you go, well, hey, it wasn't a complete catastrophe. I mean, 1 million people didn't die in this one.
You fucking addicted to war? Your country is responsible for the reduction of war in a way that nobody has predicted in the history. There was like as soon as the US military became the largest military in the world, the decline in warfare around the world dropped like a rock. It's like if you just look at the graph of the amount of war that we had in the world, and then the US military becoming a thing, the drop in war in the world just dropped. What are you talking about, addicted to war? If you want to reduce war in the world, you have to be involved in some war. Do you understand? Guys, do you understand this concept? If you want less war in the world, you cannot just be like, okay, let's hold back and just not do anything and just wish upon a star that people wouldn't be fighting each other. If you want less war, then you need to be involved in war. In the same way that if you want less bullying in a school, sometimes you need to beat up a bully. I made it very simple, okay? If you in a school, if you want general less bullying in the school, sometimes you need to bully the bully. Bullying the bully doesn't mean that you're pro-bullying. Bullying the bully reduces the general bullying in the school. Does that make sense? I'm really dumbing it down so that you guys understand this.
Like in Iraq, or hundreds of thousands didn't die in this one, like in Afghanistan or Libya or Syria. It's like, okay, look, people died in this war, okay? There were both Iranian civilians and Israeli civilians who died in this war. It was a terrible thing for them and their families.
Israeli civilians, yeah.
Okay. This was a catastrophe. And my point is that...
So your standard is that we should not get involved in any war as long as any civilians die. So basically, you're a pacifist because there's literally no wars that no civilians die. So if that's your standard, then basically there should be no war ever. So why don't we just get rid of the armies? Because if that's your standard, every country will lose its deterring capability, and if you lose your deterring capability, you will have more war. If a country says that, hey, our army will not get involved in any war if we are going to have even minimum amount of civilian casualty, right? So let's say they say we can reduce civilian casualties. Nope, that's not good enough. Reducing civilian casualties is not good enough. We should have 0 civilian casualties. If you're asking for 0 civilian casualties, you're basically asking your country to never do war. If you're asking your country to never do war, that means basically your army is useless because your army will not have any deterrent capability. The point of having an army is so that nobody attacks you. But because if there's an attack, there's going to be a response. If there's a threat, there's going to be a response. But if your standards are no civilian casualties, then there will never be a response, because any response will have some civilian casualties. And if any response that has civilian casualties is unacceptable, then your army is useless, because you cannot get involved in any war. And if that is your standard, then your enemies should understand that you will not respond to any threats or any attacks. So you understand how that standard will actually encourage more war? If your voters are saying, "Hey, don't respond to any threats or any attacks as long as it kills civilians," okay, so no wars at all. So your enemies now think that it's open season on your country. Then, with that standard, it's open season on your country. We got another super chat. Let's respond to that one. And thank you for the super chat, guys. Jeff is saying the USA has been at war since the start, except under Trump. I mean, I think even under Trump they have been in war. I mean, how could you not be in war? You have an army that is responsible for global stability for every goddamn country around the world, because every other country is not as strong as the US military to be able to provide the global security. So of course you're going to be involved in some conflicts all the time. And US involvement in conflicts around the world has made the world more peaceful, less wars.
That the war never needed to be launched to begin with. But there's no reason why we even have to be enemies with Iran. They oppose no. This is a third world country in the Middle East that does not have nuclear weapons, does not have intercontinental ballistic.
Oh, it does. Actually, it does. It does have intercontinental missiles, because now they have missiles that could reach Europe. They're proud of it, and they have threatened Europe with it. Dave, do you know that? Do you know that the Islamic Republic has missiles that reaches Europe, and they openly, transparently threaten Europe with it? Did you know that? And also, they want, even if they don't have nuclear, the reason why they don't have nuclear weapons is because every time they were about to get it, Israel stopped them. So thank you, Israel. They're like, "Oh, this is a country that doesn't have nuclear weapons." Yeah, thanks to Israel.
Ballistic missiles, does not have an air force capable of hitting us with anything. This is
Yeah, it's capable of hitting Europe, though. Your other allies. I know you don't give a shit about Israel. As a Jew, you don't give a shit about Israel, but they have directly threatened Europe with their missiles.
Israel's problem. We don't need to be involved in this. Sorry, we got our
Israel's problem is America's problem, you fucking idiot. Israel's problem, without Israel in the Middle East, America would not be America. Without Israel in the Middle East, America would never be a superpower, would never be a great country, would never be. So any problem, Israel's problem is the US's problem.
This is Israel's problem. We don't need to be involved in this. Sorry, we got our own issues here. And look, again,
you have a child's understanding of foreign policy, and every single person who cheers
I'll
for that.
give Donald Trump credit that, okay, it didn't turn into a catastrophe. He took the off-ramp when he had the chance. But look, a lot of that was out of Donald Trump's control. The risk of this war, like a lot of people love to, like Josh likes.
So how about you say I was wrong? How about you come out and say that I was wrong? There's no World War III. Just like you're like, oh, I'd be fair to Donald Trump. No, that's not good enough. Say I was a fucking retard and I was wrong about my prediction.
To read my tweets when I was saying this could turn into a catastrophe.
Because you were dead wrong and you look stupid.
Oh.
Josh.
Okay.
You didn't say this could turn into a catastrophe. You said it will.
Don't say.
No.
Let's de-escalate the stupid
No, actually, what Josh is saying is the lowest.
By the way, Charlie is a great moderator. Do you guys agree? Charlie is such a great moderator.
IQ argument that anyone can make. I was warning that there's a risk of a catastrophe, and he's saying you're stupid because there wasn't a catastrophe. This is on the
No, you predicted a catastrophe. You weren't warning. You predicted it, and you were wrong.
Level of playing Russian roulette, and if the bullet doesn't go off, you go, see, dummy, you were warning that could go bad. That doesn't prove
Nope, no, that's a misrepresentation. These guys were pretending.
anything. Listen, for all you guys, you talking about how big and bad the Iranians are and what a scary threat they are.
Okay, by the way, guys, I'm actually more interested in what Charlie has to say. The next video I'll pick, I'll pick a video that Charlie is not moderating because I want to hear more of Charlie. So next video, let me know what you guys think. What video of Charlie should I pick? Should I review next?
What if they hadn't given us advance notice? What if Iran was actually as suicidal as people like Josh pretend they are? And
Well, nobody said they're just suicidal, you fucking idiot. They're actually obsessed with their survival. And the only reason why they gave you notice is because they're fucking terrified. That actually goes against what you're saying. The reason why the Islamic Republic gave notice before they attacked Qatar was because they're a paper tiger and they know that they can't do anything serious. And if they harm Qatar in any meaningful way, it will escalate and it will be the end of them. So they're not suicidal, you fucking idiot. They use suicidal maniacs to do their bidding, but they themselves no. Look, who's claiming that they're suicidal? The Islamic Republic is obsessed with survival.
And what if their response had killed a few hundred Americans in the region, which by all military assessments, they are capable
This guy is just a support. This guy is just supporting the Islamic Republic. This guy is just in favor of the Islamic Republic, apparently.
of doing? What would Donald Trump have had to do then, Charlie? Was he? What would he? Have
I'm
done?
asking. I'm not the moderator.
No. Okay, sorry.
Like, come on, Dave.
It was a rhetorical question.
I know, but both sides are getting
is,
tough questions
the
here.
point is, Donald Trump would have had to respond even harder.
How many would have, could have, are we going to have here? This is not living in reality.
Let's give Josh a chance to respond.
Yes,
But first,
Josh, it didn't happen. It's a counterfactual.
all
One
he's
second.
doing,
You hadn't have had
All right, I don't know. I don't care about these two guys. I wish I picked a video where Charlie was speaking more. But again, it was good to actually dismantle Dave's stupid points. But let me see, is there a point here where Charlie is speaking more? Because hold on, let me see here. Let's watch this part.
ability to every single tragic death of British foe intellectuals like shields. That is the unlock.
minutes, and then I have.
And so that is essentially how I see Gaza.
I know Dave has plenty to say in response to that. So Dave, take 2 minutes, and then I have a crisp follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, geez, there's a lot there. First of all, look, if you support what Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, like, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying.
No, actually, supporting Israel is the most pro-life thing you could actually do actually right now, because Israel is on team life and Hamas is on team death. Hamas wants people in Gaza to die. Israel goes out of its way to try to reduce civilian casualties. So no, Dave, you fucking moron. Supporting Israel is being pro-life. You are on team death. Being pro the Islamic Republic, you are on the side of the people who transparently say that they are on team death. They say that they want to cause death and they are pro martyrdom. They say that they love death more than others love life. That they think the point of the world is life is to die. They don't see death as a human casualty. In fact, they think that death should be celebrated. So you are actually by supporting the Islamic Republic, you're supporting a death cult. By supporting Israel, we're supporting the side that celebrates life. I'm Israel Chai, motherfucker.
That. If you, so it's okay to support.
Let's not boo our speaker.
It's
Dave,
okay to support a
make your
policy
message.
that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies.
They're not killing babies, you fucking idiot. Hey, Dave, would you say America was killing babies in World War II when they were fighting Nazis? Did you know when America was fighting Nazis, babies died? Do you know when America was fighting ISIS, babies died in Iraq and Syria? Would you say, how come you're not anti-American then? How come you don't say, do you know in every war ever, one side that was the side that was defending itself against an unjustified attack, in the act of defending itself, babies on the other side died? Why is Dave not anti-American? America has been involved in many wars where babies on the other side died. So why is Dave not anti-American? Why is he anti-Israeli but not anti-American? Makes you wonder. And again, by the way, guys, this shows that the Jew card doesn't work. You could be anti-Jewish as a Jew. Dave is a Jew, and he's an anti-Semite. Because look at the double standard. What is the difference? He's Jew. He's like, yo, but I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. I don't give a shit that you're a Jew. You're an anti-Semite. You're an anti-Jewish racist. Because what's the difference between United States defending itself and babies dying and Israel defending itself and babies dying? Why is Israel a baby killing army and your military is not? What's the difference? What's the difference? Is it because the only difference is one side is Jewish? So you, Dave, as a Jew, you're an anti-Semite. The double standard is because one side is Jewish.
Is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't you?
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on.
Human
back
shields,
up.
dude.
Back,
Human shields.
Hold on. Back up, Dave. Why
I
don't
just let you go
Dave,
on this whole long
I know.
thing?
I'm going to actually help you out
yeah.
here, Dave. Okay. What I'm doing is I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know, and let's not get back.
Oh, okay. Well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave.
Babies in Gaza are dying, not because Israel is trying to kill babies, you fucking moron. Israel has done more than any army to try to reduce civilian casualties. Babies that are in Gaza are dying for 4 reasons. 4 reasons, okay? Pay attention. 1, Gaza has the second highest population density in the world. 2, half of the population of Gaza are considered children. 3, Israel is fighting an enemy that on purpose refuses to wear uniforms. 4, while fighting. Actually, they do wear a uniform for their propaganda videos, but not when they're fighting. 4, Israel is fighting an army, a militia, a terrorist group that uses human shields and is proud of it, and it admits it. And the fact that they do that, shows that Hamas knows how moral Israel is. Because think about this. Hamas understands Israel's superior moral standards more than Dave Smith. Because what is the point of not wearing a uniform that you have while you're fighting? If Hamas is not wearing a uniform while it's fighting, that could only be a strategic benefit for Hamas if you're fighting an enemy that is trying to reduce civilian casualties. If Israel was not trying to reduce civilian casualties, then not wearing your uniform will give you no strategic advantage. So Hamas is aware of Israel's high moral standards. That's the reason why they don't wear their uniform. So if babies are dying in Gaza, it's because Hamas is killing them, not because Israel is killing them. Hamas is putting them in front of Israel as shields. And if you think that means that Israel should not attack, that means that you're asking Israel to just roll over and die when it's attacked. Because then Israel can respond to no attack on its borders and on its citizens. If your standard is, well, if your enemy is using babies as shields, then don't attack, that means that everybody could attack Israel and Israel could never respond. That is insanity. You fucking idiot. If you want children in Gaza to not die, then support Israel to get rid of Hamas faster so we could move beyond this point that we're in right now.
Instead, I mean this
No,
because
I meant that
not
literally.
everyone
I
has an
did assume
information
that.
loop where they're on social media all the time. Okay, so Walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like that.
Well, okay. Well, let me respond to a few of the things that Josh claimed. I mean, if you want to go, there was just a major report a couple weeks ago in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where they had a bunch of IDF soldiers. They actually had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot at crowds of people who were going into
All right, blood libel,
desperately.
left-wing filth, by the way.
Josh, I let you talk.
Yes, that's fucking bullshit. Show me one evidence. The only thing we know is that look at this.
Had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot.
Yeah, first of all, that was I think a Haaretz article that they mistranslated on purpose, and also the shootings by the IDF into the crowd was a Hamas engineered tactic to go into the crowd and attack from the crowd, attack the IDF soldiers from the crowd, trying to force the IDF soldiers to shoot at the crowd so that they could use that as a way to attack Israel, to create this, because Hamas is trying to control the food supply, and to do that, they need to make sure that the food supply comes from the UN. But Israel and United States have found a different method with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and this really challenges to get food to the hands of people in Gaza, and this really challenges Hamas's monopoly on the food in Gaza, and that's why they're desperate to try to discredit the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. So when these Americans, with the help of Israelis, are distributing food in Gaza, they try to go, the terrorists, the Hamas terrorists, they try to go in the middle of the crowds and attack the IDF soldiers, trying to get a response so that the IDF soldiers. I mean, think about it. If you have to be a retard not to understand that there's no benefit for the IDF to just shoot at random people in Gaza, like just average civilians. There's like, even if Israel was evil, there's no strategic benefit in doing that. It has only cause for Israel. You have to be retarded to think that this is a cartoon villain understanding of geopolitics. Like, not even in cartoons people are like this. I don't understand how insane. Like, do you at one point ask yourself, like, okay, why would the okay, IDF is evil, Israel is evil, but what would this get them? Like, let's bring this food and get people to come get the food and then shoot at them. What strategic benefit would that have for Israel? You guys are morons. You guys are idiots. Your anti-Israeli hate has blinded you.
Shoot at crowds of people who were going into
All right, blood
desperately.
libel, left-wing filth, by the way.
Josh, I let you talk. Let's please let Dave make his case.
Well, is the IDF soldier who went on the record also filth?
Probably.
Okay. All right. There you go.
No, this guy is not a good person. Like, not a good person to debate Dave Smith. That was a Hertz article that was mistranslated. Fucking idiot.
So if there, see, you're whatever. That's when you'll criticize the IDF. Look, Josh is just lying.
Yeah, we do criticize the IDF. First of all, let me actually tell you this. First of all, that report was bullshit. However, there are IDF soldiers who do criminal things, insanely criminal things, that we condemn. There are individual IDF soldiers that have done insane human rights violations in Gaza. Okay, but here's the thing: those are individual IDF soldiers. It's not the policy of the IDF. It's not the policy of Israel. That's what you have to understand. That's the difference between the IDF and Hamas. Because when a Hamas fighter kills a civilian or does a human rights violation, it does that because that's the policy of Hamas. But when an individual IDF soldier, because no army is just filled with saints of good people, of course IDF has crazy, a couple of crazy soldiers here and there, and maybe some even officers. No army is 100% pure of good with good people. But when we see a single IDF soldier doing some evil thing, we don't generalize it to the entirety of Israel or the entirety of IDF. When we want to judge the IDF, we look at the overall results. And the overall results is that the IDF has done more than any army in the world to try to reduce civilian casualties. And if one single soldier does an evil thing, we condemn that specific soldier, not the entirety of the IDF.
when he says that Israel supported Hamas for all those years because they feared there might be a worse alternative. It's just not true. And this has been so widely reported. You don't have to rely on Haaretz. You can rely on all types of reporting, or you can just look at all of.
No, yeah. So Israel, the support. So I actually have a better understanding of this compared to before. The supposed support of Israel for Hamas was through because Israel was trying to get people in Gaza work visas and money to increase economic activity in Gaza to de-radicalize the people in Gaza, right? And if you want to do that in Gaza, the entire administration in Gaza is Hamas. So there is no other way to do that unless you go through Hamas officials. So yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it didn't work and was a bad idea, and you could criticize Israel for it. But the idea of saying like, oh, they were supporting, like, at least understand what the intention was.
Of the leaders in their own words what they said. They chose Netanyahu, and this was very controversial in Israel. There were lots of critics of this.
Yeah, we criticize Netanyahu for this. We on this channel we criticize Netanyahu for this.
Netanyahu thought he had this brilliant idea, which is that he would prop up Hamas and keep them in power. His exact quote was, "We can control the height of the flame." So he was like, we'll keep these terrorists in power, and that way we can tell the entire international community that, look, we have no partner for peace. We have no one to deal with here. And that way we never have to negotiate with the Palestinians. This was the game that he played, and it blew up.
Yeah. So yeah, he wanted to divide and conquer because the Palestinian Authority is actually worse than Hamas, to be honest, right? And he wanted to divide and conquer, and that was a horrible idea. We know that was a horrible idea. We don't. And again, this is why I say I like Netanyahu's. I support Netanyahu's performance since October 7th. I have a lot of criticism for him before October 7th. And this is one of those things that I criticize. We're not absolutists here. We're not black and white. This is one of those things that this channel has a huge record of criticizing Netanyahu for that bad idea. Okay? But the thing is that you have to understand that Netanyahu didn't want it to, he wasn't pro Hamas. He had this divide and conquer strategy that was obviously a bad idea and it backfired. That's a fair criticism. But again, the difference between us and Dave Smith is that when we have that criticism for Netanyahu, we just have that criticism for Netanyahu. We don't become anti-Israeli because of that criticism. Right? What do you guys think about that? Oh, Nurse Bars just became a member. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that.
In his face and really blew up in the Israeli people's face on October 7th. And I've never downplayed October 7th. I don't know. I know, but I'm just making the point that I never have.
Thank you for that, because what happened there is totally
day. You don't have to downplay.
Wait, so we got another super chat. Jack is saying, why Hamas was worse than ISIS? Why Palestinian Authority more than Hamas? Okay, because so Hamas is worse than ISIS. I never said did I say Hamas is worse than ISIS? I said Hamas is worse than the Nazis because the Nazis, when they were committing their atrocities, they were hiding it because they knew how vile it is. But Hamas was broadcasting it because they were actually proud of it, right? So, I mean, Nazis are worse because of they had more access to technology and power, so they managed to do a lot more evil. But Hamas, on a per capita basis, Hamas is worse than Nazis. But Hamas and ISIS, which one is worse? I don't know. I think they're pretty close. So I don't know which one is worse. So the reason why I say why the Palestinian Authority is worse than Hamas is because the Palestinian Authority keeps up the hope that there is a peace negotiation that could be happening with the people in the West Bank and Gaza, and it will continue to, it will basically keep pushing, keep making this war. Because if it was all just Hamas, there would be a more global agreement about, okay, fuck this shit, let's get rid of these people and just end the whole Palestinian cause, right? And but because of the Palestinian Authority, there are some people who think like, oh, well, there's still some hope. We could do something about this. And basically, the Palestinian Authority provide the hope for people to keep pushing for uh, for a for a goal that would never be achieved. And basically, it would this false hope provides Hamas the opportunity to continue doing its evil. Right. So if it was just all Hamas, I think there would be more unity about let's just get rid of this whole fucking shit, man. Like let's just get over it. But that's why I think. Um. Yeah. Yeah. The false hope. If the false hope from the Palestinian Authority was not there, we would have been. We would have got. We would have gotten rid of Hamas earlier.
Any of that. And in fact, I've criticized many other critics of Israel who have downplayed that. It was a horrible day. Awful, atrocious acts were committed by Hamas terrorists.
I haven't seen Dave Smith come out against Candace Owens for downplaying that, or Tucker Carlson.
But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu was propping those guys up. In fact, according to the Israeli former defense secretary, he sent the head of the Mossad to Qatar to, quote, beg them to continue shipping the money in. All the meanwhile.
Yeah, that money was specifically for increasing economic activity in Gaza, or am I mistaken?
They had a blockade around Gaza. They wouldn't let sugar, they wouldn't let potatoes in because they claim that's dual use. That could be used to build rockets. So the kids can't get, food. Yet hundreds.
Israel has moved more food into Gaza during war than any country has ever moved food into a war zone ever. They actually broke the record. Israel has broken the record when it comes to the amount of food that they have moved into a war zone.
Of millions of dollars in cash directly to Hamas. I guess money doesn't have a dual use. So, the whole mission of this, what you can't even really call a war, because it's not a war, it's the destruction of a captive people. Gaza's been occupied since 1967.
Israel has offered those so-called captive people to have their own state again and again and again and again, and they refuse every time. Israel built Gaza when they were there. They developed it and they made it so much better. And as soon as they left, everything that Israel was built, the people in Gaza destroyed it because it was built by the Jews.
By the Israelis. And they're now just slaughtering the people there under. That's a fact. Yeah. And it's under the supposed goal that they want to eliminate Hamas and they want to retrieve the hostages.
Under the supposed goal. Dave, what is the actual intention? Is Israel there just to kill Palestinians? Is that what you think? Like you're like, hey, guys, let's keep Hamas there so that we could just kill more children in Gaza. Why? Why is Israel doing this? Dave, you're actually an idiot. Dave is actually an idiot. Dave is actually a moron. Like Israel is they just have a quota of the people in Gaza that they have to kill, and they have to actually reach that number apparently every day. For what reason, I don't know. Like Dave, okay, fine, let's accept Israel is evil. Okay, can you actually tell us why would they? He said for the supposed goal of killing of Hamas and destroying Hamas and releasing the hostages. Well, if that is not their actual goal, what is their goal? Are they just like bloodthirsty? Are they just thirsty for the blood of children, Dave? Is that the is and again, guys, this is a Jew, right? And he said, like, this is why I know these people are anti-Semites. Why would they just kill them? What would Israel get out of it?
And yet Hamas is not being eliminated. They claim, the Israeli government is claiming that they've killed 20,000 of their fighters, and yet there's still as many as there were at the beginning.
So Dave,
yeah, because they recruit, because Hamas is an ideology, because it's difficult to kill an ideology, especially when the Hamas members are ingrained with the rest of the society, and it's really hard, like, to determine who's Hamas and who's not. Like, who's actually Hamas? Like, there's not actually a definition for it. Every like is if you any kid could now. Many kids there believe in Hamas, and as soon as you put a gun into their hand, now they're new Hamas. So what the hell? So obviously this is more difficult than you think.
Let me ask you the follow-up that I wish that I had an answer to when you were on the Joe Rogan show, but that thing descended into a mess, right? It was madness. So I'm going to try to do it here. This was the best point that I think that for whatever reason it wasn't answered. How then should Israel have responded to October 7th? Be specific. I know you might say, well, don't kill kids, but hold on. How would you say you would be okay for Israel to respond? Because it would be a defensive war at that time. 1,300 of their own kids and women were killed and raped. So please just answer, how then would you be okay with Israel responding to October 7th?
Yeah, well,
That is the best question, Charlie. I've never seen anybody have a good response to this other than what Israel is doing. This is the best question you could ask. And again, thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. That's a fantastic question.
So please just answer, how then?
Because, guys, do you understand how key this question is? Because everybody says Israel shouldn't have done this. And they never say, like, okay, then how should they have responded to October 7th? Other than rolling over and dying and just accepting that their country has been attacked. Fantastic question, Charlie. Let me see how he responds.
Then would you be okay with Israel responding to October 7th?
Yeah, well, I certainly, look, I'm not saying that Israel was going to respond with zero violence from after October 7th. But I think the important thing to remember here is that, first of all, for the entire...
Guys, it seems like he's going to avoid the question. Nobody answers this question. Maybe he will be the first one. Okay? People usually respond, okay, but these are the ways that people have seen respond. They will try to take it back to the beginning of time, like, oh, well, the history didn't start with October 7th. Yeah, sure. Anytime we go, even if you ignore October 7th, at any point in Israel's history, you could see the other side started it. It was every single war that Israel was involved in, the Israel's enemies started the war. So one trick is when you ask them how Israel should have responded to October 7th, they would change the topic. They would say, well, history didn't start with October 7th, and they would try to make the conversation about something else. One idiotic way is to just say, like, Israel should have just not responded, should have just accepted it. Just like, you just attacked our country and just killed a whole bunch of civilians, and we would not respond. That's another way people respond. Another way people respond is they try to change the topic and answer a question that was not asked. But I haven't seen somebody actually come up with a plan that would have been better compared to what Israel has done in response to October 7th. People were like, oh, too many civilians have died. Okay. Well, tell us, how would you have responded to Hamas trying to destroy the people who have done October 7th and who are promising that they will continue doing October 7th until the point that Israel is completely annihilated? How would you respond to that in a way that it would have reduced the civilian casualties? Go. Start. And I haven't seen anybody actually give a proper response. Let's see if Dave is going to actually respond to this, or he's basically going to do the same thing that other people do, which is basically change the topic.
Israel was going to respond with zero violence from after October 7th. But I think the important thing to remember here is that, first of all, for the entire history of Israel's existence, they've been dealing with this terrorism problem. Now, I would argue that the Palestinians...
Okay, he's going to before October 7th. So he's going with option one.
Have been dealing with the terrorism problem from Israel as well. But this is, and they've never, until Netanyahu, they never treated it as a problem for the regular old military. It was always targeted assassinations and special ops. And look, the truth is this is the fact, right? When you...
Special ops in response to your country being attacked and you experiencing the biggest act of genocide on Jews since World War II, or the biggest attack on your country since the history of your country. Special ops, like they just invaded your country and they killed 1,200 people. How are you going to do special ops in Gaza, you fucking idiot? How are you going to do special ops in Gaza? Do you understand when Israel does special ops in Lebanon and in Iran is because they have sympathetic people to their cause in those countries so that they could recruit? How is Israel going to do that in fucking Gaza? Are you insane? Oh my god.
You have been occupying a group of people since 19.
Oh, you have been occupying a group of. Okay, so option number one, like, oh, so instead of telling us and giving us an actual strategy to respond to October 7th, he's going to say, well, it's your fault because you have been occupying people. So you maybe so basically is the answer that, well, you deserve this, so that you shouldn't respond then? And he says he's not downplaying October 7th. When you ask people how should have Israel responded to October 7th, and they say, well, you have been doing well, let me read your naughty list, and this is why October 7th happened. So but you're basically saying you should have taken it because you deserved it, because you have been very bad before. That's what you're saying, which is actually bullshit. The only reason why Israel is an occupying force is because these land has been used as a way to attack Israelis. So you need to occupy a area that is a threat to your civilians when the people there are not going to. This is what any responsible state would do. When you have an area where there's a constant threat to your people, you need to occupy that area and control it so that it doesn't continue to be a threat to your people. You should be occupying it. That is the responsible thing to do. But that's what they're saying. Like, you've been occupying, so of course October 7th happened. Okay, motherfucker, you didn't answer my question. How should we have responded? Special ops? Or should we just be like, well, we have been bad, so Hamas did October 7th. That was fair. We deserved it. We're not going to respond. Is that your answer? Okay.
67. Israel has completely controlled Gaza.
They withdrew in 20 years ago.
Yes, okay. And if you want to go back and look at this, you can read Sharon's top advisor, in his own words, said the disengagement was
So
to put the
we're running out of time. I know, but Dave,
Okay, all right.
no,
Well, then I
okay.
won't be able to.
They left Gaza 20 years ago, and immediately the people of Gaza voted for a state that declared war on Israel for the sake of annihilating Israel, and they started destroying everything in Gaza that Israelis built for Gaza because they were built by the Jews. So, excuse me, if Israel puts a blockade on Gaza, you call it a blockade, I call it reinforcing your fucking border. Like, oh, why is it? First of all, how is Israel putting a blockade on Gaza? Gaza has a border with Egypt. Okay, so Israel can't put a blockade on Gaza unless because it doesn't control all the borders of Gaza. If there's a blockade, it's because Egypt, just like Israel, understands that these motherfuckers are crazy and we need to close the border for defending our country. So the reason why it's a blockade, it effectively became a blockade, is because the two countries that share a border with it, not just Israel, Israel and Egypt, look at the other side of like, yeah, I don't want to have that's some fucking crazy shit on the other side of our border. We need to reinforce our border. If you're so terroristic that both of your neighbors think like, yeah, I need to reinforce my border, then you cause the blockade on yourself, motherfucker.
To go through all of this, but it's not true. Israel continued to occupy the whole time.
So,
and when people broke
They
out
literally
of
dug out their
Josh,
own
one second.
Right,
Jewish
okay. And then-
cemeteries.
No, keep going, Dave.
Okay. So when people break out of Gaza and just start just slaughtering civilians in Israel, yes, it was a horrible day and the world feels for those civilians. But at the same time, you have to know, if you're Israel, that the way that you respond to this is going to be how you're characterized in the international community. And so you would at least make some effort to not kill so many civilians. You can't.
They have made the most efforts. You fucking idiot. Israel, the amount of efforts that Israel has taken to reduce civilian casualties is above and beyond any other country in the history of warfare, including your own fucking country. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I love America. Including your country, Dave Smith. When United States was fighting ISIS in Syria and Iraq, they weren't doing half as much of what Israel is doing to try to reduce civilian casualties. And that's why the civilian casualties in Iraq and Syria were higher relative to the number of combatants compared to Israel. But the world is not didn't go out and condemn United States in the same way that they condemned. In fact, the world was condemning United States for invading Iraq, but then when they were fighting ISIS, they weren't getting condemned, even though civilians were dying left and right. Even if they were being condemned at that point, it wasn't for them attacking ISIS. It was for originally, why did you have to topple Saddam for us to be in the situation? But they weren't being condemned for fighting ISIS, even though civilians were dying, and United States wasn't doing even remotely close as much as what Israel is doing to reduce civilian casualties.
You would at least make some effort to not kill so many civilians. You can't, dude. Smotrich, the finance minister, was bragging for 3 months that not 1 ounce of grain would get into Gaza. Well, Hamas has all
They're
the food.
firing mock.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, more calories got into Gaza during this war than any calories moved into any war zone in the history of war. So I don't know what the fuck is your point is. Like one person's statement.
from
Hamas has all the dude. You
schools.
interrupt every 2 seconds, dude.
Please let him.
Hamas has all the food they need. This is a war on the civilian population, and then
Hamas has all the food it needs because the food that Israel gets into Gaza gets stolen by Hamas.
as is reported, admitted by IDF. By the way, this is admitted by the Israeli government. You can say whatever you want about Haaretz. They denied that they gave the orders, but they admitted that it was the IDF who was shooting at those people.
Yeah, because there were gunshots and attacks from the crowds to the IDF soldiers.
Then after you deny the civilians food for 3 months, then you start shooting at the people who are desperately trying.
They weren't shooting at the people, they were shooting at the terrorists from the crowd attacking the IDF, trying to force the IDF to shoot at the people.
Trying to get some food for them and their kids. So no, listen, I'm sorry, and I guess I am partly rejecting the premise of your question.
Well,
But let me just say it like this, Charlie. If you're pro-life, and you say
Such a stupid argument. You should not buy this for a
Guys,
second.
let Dave
Dude,
finish his sentence.
shut up, bro.
Guys, did you notice how my prediction came true? I promise you, I didn't watch this ahead of time. Nobody tells you what Israel should have done. And now he's basically questioning the premise of the question. So he avoided the question. The question was, after October 7th, what should have Israel done? If you're saying so many civilians are dying, what would have been a proper response? Did we get a proper response from Dave Smith? What is this magical proper? Everybody's condemning Israel. Well, okay, what should have Israel done? Nobody is giving us a better solution that would have reduced the civilian casualties. It's almost, guys, as if this was the best thing Israel could have done. It's almost as if there was no other fucking option. Because all of these anti-Israelis, all of these Israeli haters, all of these anti-Semites, including Jewish anti-Semites like Dave Smith, they're just anti-Israeli. They have no point. Every fucking time you ask them, what should have Israel done? They have nothing. They have nothing. And even when they answer, sometimes they mention special ops and they listen to their own voice and they realize how ridiculous that is. And so they go like, but before October 7th, I reject the premise of your question because, guys, this is evidence. This is evidence that there is no other solution. There was no other solution. This was the only thing Israel could have done.
It's not. It's a stupid argument.
Somebody saying withdraw from Gaza. Israel wasn't in Gaza before October 7th, you idiot.
Life here.
It's a stupid argument. You haven't heard the argument. What's the argument?
Because you have no argument.
That's stupid.
Dave,
You're not
finish-
pro-life if
guys.
No, what's the argument?
It's Hamas that is not
What's the
pro-life.
argument?
Hamas
You
like
just
to
called
kill
stupid.
people.
Dave,
What's the argument?
this is what.
Hold on one second,
I
Charlie.
know people don't
What's
like
the
seeing
argument
that,
that you?
not
Okay.
enjoyable to watch. Okay?
What's the argument that you called
Why
stupid?
don't you finish it, Josh?
Because he
let him
doesn't even
finish.
know what it is. He interrupted me before I even said it. What, okay, here's the argument. If you're pro-life, it's not incumbent on you to have a plan for what the mother ought to do with the baby. Like, you don't have to have a plan for daycare and college funds and all that. You just say, hey, I think this option should be off the table. I don't think you have the right to murder the baby while it's inside of you. Likewise, I'm not saying I have to have the perfect plan.
If the baby is okay, this is obviously a false analogy, because if the baby inside you is holding a gun, if you have and is shooting at you from inside your body, then you should murder that baby. This is such a false analogy. Like, oh, basically he's saying, so Hamas attacked Israel. There should be a red line. We should not so this is based on principle. We do not take lives of civilians. So we have a huge red line here, and that's why Israel shouldn't have responded to October 7th in the way it did. It did. And his argument is like, if you are pro-life, and that means that a mother should never abort its fetus ever, and that's it. No questions asked. That's it. That's a hard line. There's no condition. There's no situation where that's acceptable. The reason why that's a false analogy, even if you are pro-life, is because babies in your belly don't usually pick up arm and fight you while they're inside you. Okay, that does not happen. Because I'm pretty sure even people who are pro-life and they are basically against every form of abortion, if your fetus became a terrorist, and let's say, for example, they were twins, and one of the fetuses wanted to kill the other fetus, and also maybe I wanted to do a suicide bombing inside you know, inside you, and while you would be like, yeah, okay, you would like, okay, that's an exception. Okay, I will allow the abortion of a terrorist fetus. Okay, I think that would be acceptable. Would you guys? Are there any pro-life people in the chat? Wouldn't you think that that would be an acceptable situation if your fetus was trying to kill you from inside? Would you be okay with basic an abortion in that situation?
Plan. If we had more time, I could expound on what I think they should have done. But how about don't deny 1 ounce?
Got it.
So Leila is saying no. Okay, you wouldn't. What you will still say that abortion is wrong at that point? Okay, no. Some people are saying yes, yes. Okay. Torah is saying what? Oh, what the? I mean, what the fuck? I'm showing Torah. I'm showing how false his analogy is. He's saying if you're pro-life, that means you never abort, no matter what. So if you're pro-life, you should never respond to the attack of Hamas killing civilians because you're pro-life. The reason why that's a false analogy is because sometimes you have to take the lives of people who are taking lives. If one man is taking the life of 10 people, you eliminating that person doesn't make you anti-life. You took someone's life because the net effect is that you saved 10 lives or more. So even though you took a life, you're actually pro-life. You took a life to save lives. Does that make sense? So that I'm saying his analogy doesn't apply to you being a pro-life anti-abortion, because babies, last time I checked, don't kill people. Does that make sense now?
Grain for 3 months and then shoot at the poor people who are trying to get food.
Josh,
How
respond.
about you take that option off the table? Is that argument stupid, Josh?
Dave.
Yes, very stupid. Yeah, very, very stupid. It doesn't apply. Your analogy is false.
Okay,
Josh.
the party in Gaza that is not pro-life is Hamas.
Agreed.
Hamas is the jihadist, U.S.-recognized foreign terrorist organization that in their founding charter.
Okay, I think that's good now. That's good. Let's just end it here. We went for 2 hours. Guys, should I do more Charlie? I think I should do more Charlie. I should also respond to more Muslims now. I think I'm going to respond to a Muslim channel's coverage of Tommy Robinson's march. I think that should be my next show. Or okay, I also want to talk more about uh, Israel's investment in Reza Pahlavi's team. Think I should talk about that as well, because I think the unity between the Iranian people and Israel is very important for solving a lot of these problems in the Middle East. So let me know, guys, in the comment section, what do you guys think about the topics